Hey there, good morning. I'm John. Today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. This is yet another morning, yet another vlog, a morning stand-up where I come in and turn the lights and camera and talk about what I'm doing to make content creation sustainable in the long term. And that very topic, that very phrase, we're going to talk about at the end of this video, as we mentioned yesterday, now that we aren't in a rush and can take some time. I may even start changing how I start the video, how I say it, now that we are where we are. Let's start by talking about yesterday and stats and today. And the plan, though, of course, yesterday was podcast editing day. I got that, we were live on Twitch, of course. I got that entire episode completed. It's again, all the publishing is done. It'll be live tomorrow. We had, I don't know, a dozen or 15 people show up throughout the span of the thing. We had 2 or 3 people renew their Twitch subscription. Thank you. In fact, I did actually go, I have to remote in and help my brother do his Twitch subscription because, look, he can put a truck together, take it apart, blindfolded in his sleep, but computers aren't his forte. So he's like, just remote in and do it for me. And I'm like, aha, next time I do that, I'll recapture the screen so I can make a new little, because it's so complicated, 2 more days I have to wait before it's time for him to renew. So by next week, I ought to have an updated thing on how to do that Twitch Prime thing, because again, they make it really difficult. But podcast is done. That was half the day. After lunch, the product that I was expecting still hasn't arrived, and now it says today it'll be here. It's going to be last week. It was going to be Tuesday. It was going to be Wednesday. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's going to be here. But so I've pivoted. I had a couple days ago on something else. I'm working on kind of a spontaneous editorial about the 400 Mini, about kind of the future of it a little bit. And I did all the on-camera shooting, all the physical shooting. I just have a little bit of B-roll left to do and some final editing. And I did the pre-edit already, so the raw is laid out. I'm pretty much just adding B-roll at this point. So that video surely will be out today, without a doubt. Let's talk about stats then before we get to today. I have this metric of 10,000 views and 50 subscribers on average over the last 7 days. That's where I'd like to be to maintain my velocity. It's good today. It's just a little straddly, but just not bad. 11,000 views and 46 subscribers, so just below the metric. Had a couple of weekdays, Sunday, Monday, and that's gonna screw the stats up for a while. So see how it goes. We were close yesterday, and yeah, we crossed another small milestone. We're at 47,925 subscribers now. So I would say by end of the week, we'll be at 48. And then we got another, couple, 3 weeks to, I don't know, those predictions are looking, it's quite a race right now to see. We have both Kat and Rick who have predictions, and we'll see who's closer. Is it closer without going over? Or is it just, I don't know. It doesn't matter. So let's talk about today. I have to do some final video capture B-roll for the video I'm going to put out today, and then I'll put that B-roll in and edit it. I'll get that all done and published. I have a little bit of podcast writing for Friday. I'll do a little today, a little tomorrow, over the next few days, just kind of stretch it out. It's not a great deal of writing. It's a little research, mostly for the backtrack, and then we have to write teases and find user emails, listener emails, all those things. So I'll get that together over the next few days, part of it today, I'm sure. That's one of those things I do in the cracks, and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready to do this next thing. Oh, do that little thing you need to do, kind of maximize your time. Also, I have a little bit of a thumbnail is ready. I do a little bit of writing, teensy bit of writing research for the Friday plays. We know what that video is going to be about now, thanks to votes over on the community page. So that's all there. Yeah, and that'll fill up my day. And then this evening we'll be live tonight at 7 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook with 1980s Now. That'll put a capper on my Wednesday, as usually does. So yesterday I mentioned there was a vlog viewer and commenter. I'm almost pronounce it, but it's one of those strings of words and letters. Ajeba98, AJEBA. I'm just going to say AJ for simplicity, but AJ was the viewer who commented the other day asking, so they said, hey, John, you say I'm trying to make content creation long-term sustainable. You've been doing this for almost a year and a half now. What does that mean? I mean, is this not long-term sustainable? I'm like, that's a tremendous question, and one that bears talking about briefly for a few minutes here, because that's what for the first few months when I started the vlog, if you go back, I said, I've been trying to make content creation sustainable since I was laid off from my job. And then after a while, my job was no longer my old job was no longer pertinent. It was no longer the reason or the springboard off of which I was going. Now, this is a conscious decision I'm in. So, stop laying it on the foot of being laid off. Now it's, okay, I'm trying to do this. This is a new entrepreneurial thing I'm doing. So that's why I say make it sustainable in the long term. And then you have to ask, what does long term mean? And where are you at? We've been 17 months now. March, April, May 1st will be 18 months, a year and a half. So to AJ and anyone who was wondering, he keeps saying long term sustainable. Is he going to say that till he's dead? I mean, is that not long term sustainable? Here's where we're at. So, quick rewind. The old job I worked at for 16 plus years. I traveled like bananas. I made good money. But I lived well below my means and was putting a lot of money in savings, just for a rainy day. And then, November of 2022, the clouds broke and it rained like hell. I was laid off. So after initial panic mode, I realized I'd always said, if I ever had the opportunity, I would try to do this. So I sat down and looked at the numbers. And so right now, every day I'm saying, go to the merch store, Patreon, whatever, click thanks, whatever, all those things that are little revenue streams, to try to build up our business bank account, because every month I take a small percentage of that bank account as a salary. It's nowhere near what I need. That doesn't pay my mortgage. If that's all I had, it doesn't pay my mortgage. So, but I mean, it's growing. It's growing every month. It's a little more. And so there's potential in sight. So, well, how do you living, John? How is this possible? Well, I subsidize how much I make on GenXGrownUp by pulling from my savings that I built up over more than nearly 2 decades. Look, I'm living in the rainy day. This is that rainy day I was saving for. So to come head on to AJ's question, long-term sustainable really means, and I said this in the comment reply, means indefinitely sustainable. When I reach an equilibrium where I stop taking money out of savings at all, and ideally start putting some back, that's meaning I can pay my bills, I can afford to put gas in the car. Bills are one thing, but you want to stop at Burger King, you want to go to Five Below and buy a stupid squishy toy. There is money just to live. You can live as a pauper, but I could do that going to get a job. I'm trying to make this return me to a semblance of normalcy without drawing upon my savings. So when I say, I guess I should start saying at the beginning of videos, hey, good morning, it's the date, whatever, it's my morning stand-up where I'm talking about trying to make content creation indefinitely sustainable. Maybe that's what I should start. Maybe I will. We'll see. I'll think about it. If it continues to make sense in my head. And then somebody in 6 months is going to go, what do you mean by indefinitely sustainable? And we'll readdress it possibly. But yeah, so, when I talk about, I got this many views, this many subscribers, all of that is just chipping away. That's another nickel, that's another dime, toward my goal that is still probably, I would say, unless something crazy happens, my goal is at least a year away. But as long as I'm seeing positive traction and as long as my savings account isn't crying, I intend to keep plugging away at this because my goal is to make content creation, what I'm doing now, creating videos, material that I enjoy talking about, that people enjoy watching, whatever that, is it YouTube? Is it, whatever, is it the new platform that comes along next week? Whatever it is that I can share my excitement and enthusiasm about a thing I enjoy and make enough money to take care of my family and myself, that's sustainability. And long-term just means indefinite. If we get to the end of what I used to call my runway, we talked about it more often, which is how much savings I have, and I see that coming, you either have to take off at the end of the runway or you have to pull back on the throttle and get off the runway. You're not going to take flight. That's why I call it a runway. That's why, and that savings that I have is effectively, that's that runway. And I'm that plane trying to get up to speed before I reach the end of the solid ground the runway is, and I'm going to go, through the fence, in the ditch, into the lake. I don't want to do that, so I'll. If that day gets in sight, that's when you pull back on the throttle. And then I go to look to return to the workforce and just do something else with my talents. I just would rather not work for someone else doing something they want me to do. I want to work for myself and do something I want to do. I don't think that's so irrational. Some people do, and they say I'm an idiot. Maybe they're right. We won't know until we get to the end of this. Either way, I'm enjoying what I'm doing now, so even if this experiment fails in the long term, I'm not hoping it will, I'm not planning for it to, but if it does, I have still enjoyed nearly 2 years of working and living the way that I had hoped. And if anything, it makes me more hungry to make it work. So that's why I try to be diligent. That's why I get up every morning and talk to you about it and make sure I do a reality check, just like AJ did for me, you know, so smack me around and go, you keep saying that, what do you mean by that? Define it. It's an excellent point and one I'm glad that he made. So I hope that answered your question or lingering questions that anybody might have had. You never know what we're going to talk about here on the vlog. It could be random stuff about a movie I watched, or deep level finances, or how to make a thumbnail. Who knows? Who knows? So, yeah. Sombering, somber and sobering. Sombering, it's a new word I make up. Welcome to Sombering. Somber and sobering, but realistic and not depressing. It's just the case state of how it is. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish. Indefinite sustainability. I want to be able to do this until I die, or at least can't do it anymore. Okay. Speaking of doing it, I'm going to start doing it right now again today. So thank you so much for popping in to check out today's vlog. If that's what you did, if you're here every day, you know I love you for that. Thank you so much for being here on this bus or plane now, or whatever it is, vehicle that we're riding along. I so much appreciate you. Have a great Wednesday. Remember to do something good for yourself, and I'll talk to you again next day. Bye-bye.